Spirit Lake. Spirit Lake is a t-shirt shop where they assemble motorcycles. That's what it is. They were awfully kind to me, and they were awfully generous, and I did actually get through on the phone to the chief of production for Indian Motorcycles.
Awesome.
And he was nice, but of no help. And he said that if this had been earlier, his son was the general manager at the local dealership in Spirit Lake. And he had plenty of wrecked bikes and plenty of parts, and he could hook me up with used this and that and mismatch, but he could have me back out on the road quick. But his son wasn't working there anymore, and he didn't know the guy who was there now, so I could go, and they could certainly sort me out, but it was going to take time. I didn't have that time. I still have this internal drive that says, you can finish first. So I picked myself up, dusted myself off, took one photo, and off I ran. Didn't finish first, but I did finish respectfully.
That's right.
But, you know, when you handle adversity, you learn something about yourself. And that's the other thing about the Hoka Hay. You know, if I handed any of you a GPS loaded with all the turn-by-turns, and you did the run, and you slept outside, and you managed yourself accordingly, all of you could finish it. Some of you could finish it quickly. Some of you could finish it very quickly. But what you'll never, ever, ever get with that in your hand is the experience of insecurity. Not knowing where you're going to sleep and not knowing if you're safe when you sleep does not have you sleep easy. Not knowing if there's gas on your route or you're going to run out, when you can stop, and how you manage yourself leaves you very, very insecure. And you spend a lot of your day very insecure. Not knowing if you made that turn, missed that turn, or you're on the route, or you're off the route. If you're off route and you can't find a road sign that tells you what route you're on, you're lost. And if you see a road sign that tells you something that's unfamiliar, you don't even know where that is supposed to be. And then you wind up pulling into a convenience store and asking the line of stupid questions that you've asked before. Hey, do you live around here? She goes, why, yes, I do. And I said, can you tell me how to get to Route 16? I'm lost. And she goes, well, where are you heading to? I don't know. Well, which direction are you going to? I don't know. You don't know if you're heading north or south? No, ma'am, I don't. There's no indication which way I go. The only thing I know is I got to get back to Route 16, figure out where I came off Route 16, and make the right turn that takes me towards Route 20. Do you know where Route 20 hits Route 16? She goes, sure. But tell me where you're going. What town are you trying to get to? I don't know. She goes, you surely have to know where you're going. And I said, Medicine Park, Oklahoma. I'm in Colorado. That's not helping you much, is it? No, it's not. And then she says the same thing she always says, her and everybody else, I could help you, but I don't even know where to start. I said, just tell me from here, how do I get back to Route 16? She goes, well, that's easy. Thank you. You turn around back out of here, and you go back down that road about 20 miles. And you'll see Route 16. Or not, but you'll see Route 16. And as soon as I get back to Route 16, I see where I came off the route. I know where I departed it now, and I'm on Route 454, which is not part of my route. And I stop, I look, and I turn onto 16 where I'm supposed to be. I reset my mileage, and I take an estimate of how much I added, subtract what I need, and take their rough estimate and put it back to figure out how far I got to get back to Route 20. And at Route 20, I make the left I'm supposed to make if I find it in time. Otherwise, it's the same questions all over again at another convenience store.
So what do you have in front of you then? Just like a piece of paper?
Line by line, turn by turn directions with a rough estimate, and it is truly rough, of approximately how many miles to the turn.
So that's how you use your mileage and your odometer to kind of...
You use it, but it's always wrong. And it's sometimes significantly wrong. And even from time to time, the direction that you're supposed to turn in is wrong. I wound up in Canada. The route didn't take us into Canada, but somewhere in northern Idaho, it said, take a left. And I went left. And I wound up in Canada. It should have read, take a right. But instead, I'm 60 miles off my route because the directions are wrong. As soon as I realized it, I did the right thing. I called Mama Beth and I said, directions are wrong. Here's what it should have been. Correct them for everybody else so they don't do it.
Yeah.
And within an hour, the correction comes out, and whoever's behind me is now 4 hours closer to me because they're not going to make the same mistake I made. That's how it works.
Yeah. How do they get the corrections to you? I mean,
There's a text message that comes out,
oh, okay.
and you get the alert on your phone. You can get and receive text messages. You can make and receive phone calls,
Okay.
but you can't use your phone for navigation, GPS,
Is it
locating.
like an honor system, or are you?
Completely the honor system. And here's the point of it.
Okay.
Anybody has the opportunity. They can take a picture of the directions and they can send them to a lifeline. And their lifeline can map them out. It's very hard to do. Very, very hard to do because the names of the roads and the routes don't often match what the GPS map would call them. It's very hard to manage. But if you can manage it and it saves you some trouble and somebody's watching you on the tracker and telling you when the turn's coming up and they turn you turn by turn, it can save you a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you miss? You miss the insecurity. You miss the independence. You miss the entire experience that you set out to get by cheating yourself so that you can come in and finish sooner and you can do it with less frustration. You don't grow through being comfortable. You grow by being uncomfortable. You grow through insecurity and you realize you can adapt and handle more than you ever thought you could. That's what you signed up for. That's where you intend to grow. And I wasn't the rider I am now in 2016. I finished that ride, and in 2016 I grew, and I got to be a better rider. And then in 2017 I said there is nowhere that I can't go, that I can't find my way through. So I rode every state in America except for Hawaii. I went to Alaska, the furthest points in Alaska. I went to most southern point. I went to the most western point. I went to the most northern point. And then I rode the entire length of the top of Canada because I knew that nothing could stop me. I can sleep anywhere. Anywhere. I don't need a hotel. I can go for days without food. I can find water in places most people can't. I can survive on what I forage. I know what freedom feels like in a very, very basic sense that most people will never, never, never get until they do it. And I've been places that are great and they're scenic and they're beautiful and they're unique. And I had my experience of it, and my experience of it was richer and tastier than most people ever will be. You can fly to Alaska and pay somebody to take you on a tour, but you'll never see it the way I saw it. You'll never see it the way you could see it if you just point your bike there and you go. You know what got me there? Knowing that the machine that I sat on was so utterly dependable that when I laid down to sleep at night, I knew it would start. When I'm riding down a road and I don't pass a single car in over a 1,400-mile day, I know my bike will keep going. I get a flat, I can patch it. I have issues, I can solve them. I'm no great mechanic, but I can handle myself. And the feeling that I get knowing that that's possible and sitting on this machine that is as durable as any that's ever been made on a motorcycle took me everywhere I wanted to go and then some. So in 2017, I burned 100,000 miles going everywhere I wanted to go, doing anything I wanted to do. Met up with friends far and wide, ate food in the most unlikely places that somebody recommended. Somebody said there's good wings to be had in Buffalo. I rode there from Florida just to have dinner. Then I heard about another place in South Dakota that had a great burger. So I rode to South Dakota. And then somebody said Seattle has this really unique place. You got to go check that out. So I rode there. Then I went to Pine Flat where the eclipse was going to be at its peak to talk to the people there and have breakfast.